Ahoy guys and welcome back to I Like Watches. It feels like the watch gods themselves smiled down upon me the other day because on the very same day I received this new release by San Martin, I believe it is the SN0107, I had a second package from Ivan at Vario and it contained some straps that I think are going to go perfectly with this watch. Ivan got in touch and said, do you like this style of strap? And I said, yeah. With a certain type of watch, I think they can look really, really good. And lo and behold, this watch and these straps turned up on the very same day. And I think they are going to fit, this San Martin SN0107. So I'm looking forward to showing you this watch on these straps in this full review. Of course, you're going to get all the facts, figures, stats and specifications, the good, the bad, some lovely macro shots, a little summary at the end. Now, I think San Martin, for me anyway, make four types of watches. Some watches are fairly original in design. They might have one or two elements about them that look familiar, but they're quite original. They then make these watches where they seem to pull design elements from a few different watches, amalgamate them all together, and then make a watch that is a sort of mishmash of designs of other watches. And then you've got homage watches that are sort of loosely based on other watches. They're paying homage to other watches, but San Martin have put their own twist to them. And then you've got watches like this that are fairly accurate homages, and this is a fairly accurate homage. It may not be your thing, but yeah, they seem to have done a pretty good job. Hopefully we'll find out in this review. Enjoy, guys. Now, I've just gone onto the San Martin official store to double check prices and options available for this SN0107, and a couple of watches caught my eye. Looks like they're having some sort of clearance sale. They're offering some pretty big discounts on these two watches, and they've got a couple of new arrivals here, this dress watch and this pilot watch, where they seem to be offering some decent discounts. It looks like they might be offering this one at a discounted price, but then I've double checked. I've just gone onto it here, and yeah, I'm not seeing a voucher or discount code, unfortunately. And as you can see, there's a couple of watches available. You've got this signed variation and a sterile dial version. It contains the NH35, beats at 21,600 beats per hour, hacks and hand winds. Yeah, a good movement to have in this watch, but yeah, no discount sadly. Now, I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm showing you this watch on some alternative straps first because I've just taken it outside to get some photos of this watch on my wrist with the supplied bracelet, but also on some of these straps by Vario. And I've got to say, this one in particular, well, it looks like it was made for this watch. The colour of this leather matches the colour of the lume on the dial perfectly. It's, well, literally the perfect style of watch and case and dial for a strap just like this. And although this style of strap is not necessarily my favourite on certain watches, I think they look incredible. Brad Pitt's certainly made them very cool recently, hasn't he? Obviously, I would always recommend buying watches on their stainless steel bracelets. But yeah, maybe San Martin and Vario should collaborate one day. James and I are collaborating with Vario on our next watch for J&G Watches called the Academic. Yeah, they do make some really, really nice straps. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised. It looks incredible on these. But yeah, this one is definitely my favourite. Right, let's start with the diameter. Oh, a smidge over 38 millimeters. Thickness, including the crystal, 11.8. Case length, 46.4. We've got lady end links, so pretty much the same length, 46.6. 20mm lug width, and the bracelet tapers down to just over 15.5. Right, let's get that warmed up, and while we're waiting for that, let's give you the weight all in. Well, I say all in. For my 7¼ inch-ish wrist, nice weight, 124 grams. Right, the second light is on. The crystal is sapphire crystal. It is a piece of double domed box sapphire crystal. Good clarity at a tight angle and fairly obvious blue hue on the crystal. So yeah, blue AR coating. Plain screw down case back and a signed, oh, if I can get it in focus, screw down crown. So 100 meters of water resistance. The lume is printed on the dial. It's orange as well, so it seems pretty bright actually when it's first charged with the UV torch, but I suspect it's not going to last as well as lume on dials that is infilled to applied indexes. The hands are flat, no dual facets on them, just a single facet, polished, and well, they are paying homage to a very specific watch. Some of you will know why I don't mention which watches these watches are paying homage to. If you're curious, head down to the video description and I will put the reason in there. Now, I've checked out the steel finishing under macro and I have to say it's up there with the SN0107 Retro Diver version 3 that I talked about in a video recently. Yeah, they've made some significant improvements with their case finishing, and in particular I am talking about the transition, that line between the brushed surface on the case and the high polished facet there on the lug. That is now particularly crisp. You can only really appreciate it under macro, but it shows what lengths San Martin are going to to improve the finishing of their watches just generally. And this watch has a very fine, but again beautifully transitioned, high polished, very small chamfered edge around the outside of that bezel. Yeah, you don't notice it straight away, but it's definitely there, and it's beautifully done. The brushing on the case is also very nice. It is just an exquisitely finished watch, and the bracelet is also very nicely finished, polished sides, lots of fingerprints as you can see, but the brushing matches the case very nicely. Solid end links, solid links, screw pins. And you're familiar with this clasp by now, surely. 3-piece fold over clasp, inner elements are solid. The outer shell, well, it may be milled, it may be pressed, it's pretty substantial. Beautiful polished chamfered edges. And again, they've opted for the longer one, so 4 micro adjusts, an applied logo, double pushers, no safety latch, but it's very nice. And here it is on the supplied stainless steel bracelet on my 7¼ inch-ish wrist. It looks a bit boring now, doesn't it? Having seen it on those interesting leather straps by Vario. I mean, I'm not wild about those straps, they just suit this watch so well. It's an incredible coincidence that they all turned up on the same day. I generally do prefer watches on stainless steel bracelets, but yeah, as nice as this bracelet and clasp is, it looks a little bit plain, doesn't it? But still, very comfortable, lovely weight, good weight distribution, no complaints whatsoever. So let's move on and just summarise some of the strengths and the weaknesses. Well, it's a San Martin, so obviously I'm going to mention build quality, but that's all I'm going to mention. Hopefully the macro shots are showing you exactly what I'm talking about. The movement, NH35, they've been putting all sorts of movements in their watches recently. Seagull movements, Epson movements. It's nice to get back to a San Martin with an NH35. And on the time grapher, it's running pretty well. That's why we love it. It's a good size, it's a good weight, it's very wearable, comfortable. A bit of a strap monster as well, I think. 20mm lugs, you know, and you've seen it on some alternative straps. You could put this on some, well, just fairly standard leather straps, and I think it would look, well, it does look amazing. I've taken some photos of this watch on some Collareb straps is the brand, and yeah, I'll put links to Vario and Collareb in my video description. But yeah, it just looks good on, well, I suspect pretty much any leather strap. And I think this watch is further evidence that San Martin really do listen to their customers. I think they read the comments in the comments section to videos like this, and I think they're checking out watch forums as well, where watches like this are discussed, because, well, they're doing things like making watches with female end links more and more, and yeah, they've reverted back to this longer outer shell. Sadly, it's not all rainbows, fairy dust and unicorns. There are a few weaknesses. The first one being, well, that hour hand. I'm just not a fan of, well, the shape and the size of it. I think it looks a little out of proportion. Also, the lume being printed directly on the dial. Again, that is how the original watch is. I think this watch would have looked a little bit nicer with applied indices filled with lume, and they've also gone for a slightly different colour of lume on the dial and in the hands. I actually don't mind it because it looks so good on that tan leather strap. But that is about it, really. I'm not seeing any other weaknesses to this watch. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good, accurate homage. Right, I'm going to head back to the desk and share with you my final thoughts and opinions on this new release by San Martin. I really am struggling to see past the hour hand on this watch. It's just the shape and the size of it. It seems disproportionate to me. Well, I just think it's ugly. Let me know what you think of it, guys, in the comments section. It's such a shame because, well, this watch has a lot going for it. And actually, on the alternative straps like this one from Collareb and the brown straps by Vario, it gives your eyes a lot more to look at. It, well, makes the lume on the dial more relevant. It sort of ties that into the watch. And it, well, takes your focus away from the hour hand. But yeah, every time I look at the dial and I see that hour hand, I know it's not for me. Yeah, it's just, well, it's too imposing. But price-wise, $250-ish for an all stainless steel watch by San Martin containing the NH35. I think that's a fairly fair price. $200 to $250 for me has always been the sweet spot for San Martin watches containing the NH35. So this one's no different. But yeah, just the hour hand. Please do let me know, guys, what you think of it. Oh, what a shame, but there you go. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, as always, for watching. And yeah, I look forward to reading your comments on this one. Let me know.